Islam International SONA 2022. Joining us here in our studios, just outside City Hall. We can look at it. We're literally 20 meters away from the entrance. We have the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Mr. Lechesa Tsenoli. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Good morning and welcome to Radio Islam International.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Now, if I can start on a lighter note, is it easier or more difficult for errant MPs to raise points of order in this building as compared to Parliament?
There's no way I'll know that, sir, until we start.
Until we start.
Yes, I can't. Yeah.
For you, I mean, as the Deputy Speaker, and
Yeah.
you've been at this for a number of years, how different is the setting here, just the whole atmosphere, ambience, having SONA for the first time here in City Hall?
Well, look, this is an emergency setup. And this is, as a city hall, it was designed with a different purpose in mind. So we have had to do with it. But from what we have seen in there, it's appropriate to the occasion. And what we also like about it is its historical significance. It's not just about the fact that this is where Nelson Mandela spoke when he was released from prison, and a statue has been put up there. What has not been said is that there is a wonderful exhibition of Nelson Mandela in Cape Town that is in here. That is absolutely wonderful. Anybody who's interested in the history of Nelson Mandela in Cape Town, which started long before he went to Robben Island, is a wonderful one, including up towards his end of his life. So it's one part. The historical significance of that is huge. And we think this is an act of neighborliness by Cape Town. Let's put it across that way, including the ICC, which when they heard and saw what happened to our institution, stepped in with offers for us to help. We chose this one for partly what I'm referring to, that in relative terms the space is adequate, will be to our purposes, and we will not have all members in there, and that it will be like for the president himself to return to the City Hall. He was there next to Nelson Mandela when he spoke on the balcony where the president's statue is. It's a fascinating historical comeback.
Yes, absolutely. I've been asking everyone who's come to our studios this morning that where were you on that day, and what can you remember of that day when Madiba gave that very famous address from that very balcony that we are looking at as we speak?
I was somewhere in KZN, and I don't remember the specifics of what I was doing, where I was, but I was in Durban around that time, and it was one of the most exciting periods of our time. Some of our own comrades traveled to Cape Town for that purpose, and I know others from other parts of the country to be here, except that the news were moving at such speed, such that others were just unbelieving. Okay. We know that this piece of history, the late Steve Tshwete said of the former president Thabo Mbeki when he told them, hey, the Clerk is going to announce our unbanning and so on. And he says, has anybody been giving the president some whiskey? Out of disbelief, but it's the moment was really significant for a variety of reasons. Not many people believe it could happen, but it was absolutely exciting when ultimately we saw him there, surrounded by our own fellow activists, and making the kind of remarks he made. It was a huge sign of relief. There's a story of a white guy who was in the underground, who used to dig so that people could hide away weapons and equipment for that purpose. And when he heard the news, his remark was, "Whew, what a relief, no longer digging." So he was absolutely excited. Yeah, the story is told by Marv Anderson, who was herself part of the underground network. So you can see the excitement of people and so on. The guy used to go to parks and so on, pretend like he's enjoying having a picnic when he's doing that kind of dangerous work and so on. So the relief from that kind of stress was huge for him when he heard about the news. So yeah, it was a special day, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the capacity here, together with COVID regulations, means that you cannot accommodate everyone that you normally accommodate.
Yeah.
How was the decision made? We know your good friends from the EFF were not too chuffed. They wanted more people there. I don't know, maybe more point of orders.
No. We came to the conclusion that we must have this session as a hybrid. Some of the members will be on virtual platform, and some allocation was worked out, a formula was worked out in consultation with all political parties, and the majority of them agreed with it except for the EFF. So that's the idea, that we needed to be limited, not only because of COVID, but also because of sensitivity to disaster management requirements, that you can't have a place for such kind of event overcrowded. In the event there's a necessity to vacate the place. It can create a huge stampede. It would be irresponsible of us to act in that way. So it was appropriate that we, by agreement, thankfully, with the majority of the people, to have the numbers we have agreed on and so on, to keep them limited. And across the board, we have not issued invitation to the regular guests that we do invite on a regular basis, to keep the numbers low, and so only a few special guests, such as the former speaker, Max Sisulu, my brother, my comrade, Madam Baleka Mbete, and the former speaker, sorry?
Former presidents, are they invited tonight?
I didn't see on the list the former presidents, but there might be, so there are some of those there. And the last former speaker is Friniji Nwala, the first speaker of it. So those three will be here as per invitation. And there are a reduced number of those from the judiciary. Yeah, and of course the speakers of the 9 provinces will be here as well.
Do you get a sense that there's more pressure, there's more scrutiny on this SONA for a number of reasons? I mean, we've just come out of 2 very heavy years of COVID. You've had the rioting and looting. You've had the burning of parliament, and you've got all the other issues relating to the internal dynamics of the ANC and an elective conference, the corruption and the state capture inquiry. All of these things. Do you think it just brings this year's SONA under greater scrutiny?
Your thesis is absolutely spot on.
Thank you.
It's yours, but it is spot on. It says the drama of the new year on the 2nd, the burning of Parliament, was like one of the most outrageous acts in our country. That's a premier institution of the land. To be banned like it was more than outrageous. So that environment and the reports of the state capture that are now coming out, all of them will have been done by the end of this month, provides a huge point of curiosity for people in our country and internationally as well. This is a special, what do you call it, SONA. For those reasons, including the reasons of the people themselves being in a difficult position, the difficulty of what others often refer to as the crisis of social reproduction, the inability of people to make a living, and the continuing decline of jobs, and that creates a difficult problem for many families. And so the responsibility for responding, to talk about those jobs, talk about the levels of poverty and inequality, the outrage that today you still have the levels of inequality of people doing the same jobs but not earning the same amount on some ridiculous grounds. So this is including just the reality of men and women doing the same job to isolate those and single them out. It's an act of outrage, because near leveling the playing field there, women being the majority population, and will have a significant bearing on the speed with which we can overcome poverty in our country, and feed into other things that happens when many receive what they earn or appropriate. Our constitution demands that of us. So people cannot, in spite of what the constitution says, continue to be treated the way they are treated in the private sector, which is where this inequality is, unfortunately.
I have to ask you this before we conclude. Did you always have such a great sense of humor? You know, when you have the chair, I don't know if you know, on YouTube, there's a clip, a compilation of all the humorous moments that you've been sharing, because it gets quite tough, and especially in recent years with the EFF coming to Parliament, whether you agree or don't agree, but they've changed the dynamics in many ways. But you seem to be able to control the situation, make your point, be firm, but at the same time bring in an element of humor that kind of many times just sucks the tension out of the entire moment.
Keep speaking the wrong word.
You can't not see the funny even in the most serious moments. That happens. And so I guess I must have inherited from my parents. I don't know where I got it from. I've never checked it out consciously, but it's something that it's not like I plan it. What happens to me at the moment of what I see and notice in front of me, and I often am quite generous with sharing my observations. Some of them can be as funny as you suggest, because it's an important thing to do at a leadership level. You must be able to laugh, including at your own foibles. I've been forced to withdraw some of my remarks, not because I agreed with the pressure they were putting on me, but I did it to take out the sting from their story. They were playing games with me.
What do you enjoy most about being Deputy Speaker?
The work I now and then do with staff, the interaction with people to provide clarity and information, and to receive from people both critique as well as identification of exciting things that we can do. We also have to act, so to speak, as part of parliamentary diplomacy, representing our country in associations of parliaments. And so that's a very important diplomatic task. And people are excited about their historical link with South Africa, and to get feedback about where we are at and what we are doing with what they are seeing. So that work I find it very helpful and useful, and it's exciting. Some of it is exciting, big time. Working with people is what keeps me alive. I've never done any other job but work with people as an activist from way back and so on. And I consider formal parliamentary politics as a continuation of my activism. And so this is what makes it for me.
All right, so I want to conclude by asking you to just do it for our listeners. People all over Gauteng, Natal are listening to you at the moment. Just say that for us. You are out of order.
Listen, it's you who's out of order.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you very much.